Today we are in Matthew 5:21 to 26.
আজকে আমরা মথিতার 5:21 থেকে 26 পর্যন্ত দেখব।
In this passage, Jesus is giving us more examples of how he fulfilled the law and the prophets and what that means. Purity is not just a matter of doing the right things or avoiding other things. Purity also means being right on the inside, in your heart and in your mind. Jesus is showing us how to act right, but also how to have the right heart and the right mind while we do that. So long ago, people were given a law not to murder. Of course not. Murder is wrong. But they were expected to understand that murder begins in an attitude of anger and malice and evil in someone's heart. For some reason, they seem to have thought that as long as their anger and malice and evil never actually ended in murder, then they haven't done anything wrong. So Jesus is saying that anger, malice, and evil are just as wrong as killing someone. He's not taking away the law. He's not changing the law. What he's telling us is there's more to it than they were understanding. See, it's deeper than how they were interpreting it. You see, murder is not the only problem, and it's really not the true problem. Of course, murder is wrong, but the anger and evil that well up in our hearts that cause us to murder are just as much of the problem. Jesus is saying they're all wrong, from where the feeling begins to where it ends. Now, just to be clear, Jesus is not saying that anger is as bad as murder. What he's saying is that the evil begins in the heart and the mind. So the thrust of what he's saying is, you know well enough that murder is wrong, but you should also recognize how serious hatred and anger are. Murder isn't the only way to commit violence against another person. Anger, malice, and evil are wrong also. Jesus refuses to make a distinction between the external assault and the internal attitude of evil. That is, because murder with your hands comes from murder that's already in your heart. The assault is only the anger showing itself in action. So what Jesus is saying is, if you really want to be righteous, deal with the anger and you'll never have to worry about the murder. Instead, love your enemies. Learn to forgive. Be a person of grace. Control your anger. Seek reconciliation. And if you're like that, murder will never happen. All right, so Jesus condemns not only the violent act of murder, but also the violent emotions and intentions of the heart. Now, when he says in verse 22 that this person will be in danger of the fire of hell, he's not guaranteeing that anybody who's angry is going to go to hell. See, that's not what he's saying. His point is that those who continue in a lifestyle and attitude of ignoring God's word and God's will, they're making themselves the one who has the power and the authority to bless someone and curse someone else. And if you think you have the power and the right to bless and to curse, then you think it's your right to harm and injure people. And any person who is like that isn't following God, they're making themselves God. So Jesus is saying God's people don't act like this. And therefore, this person is obviously not a follower of God, and therefore he's in great danger of hell. Then Jesus gives an example. If you're coming to worship, but you become aware of a rift between you and another person, stop what you're doing and go reconcile with the person. See, that's how you stop murder. Stop it at its source. See, anger is so serious that we should not only try to eliminate it in ourselves, but we also should try to act in such a way that other people don't get angry. Instead, we should seek reconciliation so people don't get angry. We should love our neighbor as we love ourselves. We should be patient.
আমাদের আরো ধৈর্যশীল হওয়ার প্রয়োজন।
We should be peace loving.
আমরা যেন আরো শান্তিতে বসবাস করি, সেই রকম শান্তির মানুষ হই।
We should be gentle.
আমাদের আরো নম্র হওয়ার প্রয়োজন।
We should be merciful.
আমরা যেন আরো দয়ালু হই।
Right? Blessed are the merciful, blessed are the peacemakers.
কারণ একটু আগে বলা হয়েছিল, মনে আছে যে
We should be friendly.
আমরা যেন বন্ধু হতে পারি, বন্ধুত্ব সুলভ আচরণ থাকি স্বভাব।
Your anger can cause you to lose your sort of injure your relationship with God. If you are at odds with your brother, then your worship is going to be wrong too. Your relationship with God and with people are more important than any religious rituals. If you are not loving your brother who you can see, how can you love God who you can't see? See, you can't have a right relationship with God if you are not in a right relationship with your brother. Settle your grievances, and then murder will never be an issue. See, it all comes from the heart. Then in verse 25, Jesus says, settle matters quickly with your adversary who is taking you to court. He's not talking about crimes. He's talking about debt. See, this is another illustration of what he's trying to teach. See, if you owe money to somebody, be responsible and pay it back. See, do the right thing. Be a good person. Be responsible.
আপনি ভালো কাজ করেন, আপনি দায়িত্ববান মানুষ।
Be humble rather than proud. Be responsible rather than make people angry. Do what you're supposed to do. And if you don't do what's right, you'll not only get in trouble here. See, it says about taking you to court. If you don't do what's right here, you'll not only get in trouble here, but you'll be subject to God's judgment as well. And doing small wrongs can lead to doing great wrongs. So have the right heart and the right mind. That's what Jesus is saying. But what comments or questions do they have?
2 মিনিট আছে, কোনো মন্তব্য আছে? I think they have many questions or comments from this, but
মন্তব্য আমি দিতে চাই, যদি টাইম নেই এই জন্য তাড়াতাড়ি বলি।
what he was saying that he never have thought, he didn't have this idea regarding that the things happens from the heart, from the mind. That's what happens, and people doesn't see that, people doesn't think of that. But Bible has given a cure to that, by saying that the heart is the main place to solve the problems first. So when there's peace in heart or mind, that means no more anger controls the body, and no more killing happens. So that's something he liked very much to learn this from this part. And then he said that knowing that if we have fight or anger with our brother, and going to the prayer meetings with the anger, that doesn't count actually. First we have to be making peace with our relationship. So this what he said, that if someone owes me some money, okay, then I cannot give. He knows my condition, and even if I'm not able to do or pay it immediately, but I have the heart to give it back. And if he says that you have to give it now, and that
may make him automatically angry. So he can, as a human. So what to do in that situation, that I have to give, but I do not have. I have to give, but I do not have. Then what can I do? I just praying to him, please give me some time, and falling on his feet. But even he do not listen. Then what to do? What can I do actually? That's the
Well,
question.
well, in a case where if you don't have it, you don't have it. And so you either have to figure out a way to get it or you have to plead for the man's mercy. Those are about the only two choices. If you owe money and you don't have it,
মানে দুটো
I mean, this passage,
কিন্তু এই
this is not
but
really about borrowing money. It's about whether what's in your heart shows itself in wrong actions.
এখানে এই
Well, okay, I'll just talk to you about it, Shubro, and then you can explain to him. I mean, if there's a way, if you think the man just needs more time, it's okay to show mercy. If you can afford to just forgive the debt, you can forgive it. But if the man is just trying to cheat you and deceive you, I would take him to court. We're supposed to, as much as possible, show mercy and grace to people and to be kind. And if we can do that, then we should. But that doesn't mean we let people just walk all over us and take advantage of us and cheat us and deceive us. If somebody's really trying to be a bad person, it behooves us to stop crime and injustice, and sometimes we have to take them to court. So we're trying to be like God. God is merciful and forgiving, but God also judges evil. He doesn't just ignore when people are
ঈশ্বর
doing
কেমন
what is wrong.
ঈশ্বর কেমন
I mean, this calls for a heart of wisdom. The Bible says that.
রাদারের সঙ্গে প্লাস আপনার মাধ্যমে যে মিটিং গুলো আমরা করি এটাও আমরা
So
লক্ষ্য করি
what he said, that the lessons we are being taught for this through these meetings, through the Zoom, we try to apply in our community to solve the problems, show love, because we are being taught through this chapter 5 mostly, that how to behave, how to become a good person. So we try, and we saw that through the love showing the love, we could achieve good results in the community. People gave us a space, giving us a space to talk and solve the problems.
That's excellent. That's good to hear. That's exactly what
I have a
Jesus
question.
wants us to do.
এবং এটা খুব ভালো, এবং যিশু এটাই চান যেন আপনারা সেইভাবেই আপনার গ্রামের I have a question is, people most of I see the people connects this part of the Bible with the communion, taking the communion. So does it has any connection with the communion taking and with this anger, having anger or fight or the quarrel within the family or neighbors or even the pastors?
In a sense, no, but in another sense, yes, just to answer your question, because Paul says the same thing in 1 Corinthians 11, that we have to judge our hearts. And if we're coming to communion with the wrong heart, then we're missing the point. We're missing a large part of the point. And so we need to make sure our hearts are right with God and our hearts are right with each other if we're going to come to communion. And so this text, even though it's not talking about communion, it still relates on the same level with exactly what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 11. It's a travesty when Christians are all angry at each other and then they come to communion as if they're united brothers and sisters. See, there's a problem.
Why he has a question, but not from this passage, but from his own. That Mary, as the mother of Jesus, we understand Mary had taught so many things to Jesus, but Mary was also a pious lady, and then he should get some kind of honor even as written. But the question is why Mary's life is not much of Mary been written in the Bible. Why Mary is not that much important, or not much things written about Mary in the Bible? Why? The question he has in mind.
Because the honor and glory is supposed to go to Jesus. Jesus is the focal point. Mary was chosen, but that doesn't mean she was a special person. Lots of people in the Old Testament were chosen. Somebody like Jacob, and Jacob was not a special person. Neither was, lots of people. God chooses people to do his will, and God chose Mary. That doesn't make her someone that we should pay special attention to. Jesus is the one we should pay special attention to. Mary's just a human being that God chose to do his will, and she did it. Good for her. That's what we're all supposed to do. I would say this, Shubro. If God chose you for a special purpose, would you want people to honor you? And your reaction would be, no. I don't want people to honor me. I want people to honor God. It should be no different with Mary. When Peter was given special ability to heal, and the people he healed and the people around started bowing down and worshiping him, thinking he was some kind of angel or deity, he stopped them and said, don't worship me. We're here to worship Jesus.
What he said that Mary came, Jesus, and Mary means Jesus came through Mary. Mary was chosen for that. So that doesn't mean that Mary is anything like God, because Mary is not the deity, but God had choose her to do it. So he has, that means Mary still has problem, or not problem, it still is the human, and then God, Jesus is not human. Okay, he left. They left. They got out. So he just made a comment that it is a good time, qualityful time that we are passing on, because if we do not know ourselves, then how can we tell to the people? So it is enlightening us from inside, and that's a great feeling. We inside of us, we are so happy to learn and know these things. And you're talking what you are talking, that means it's your talking goes into our heart, and we can understand it, and it's a blessing for us. Thank you for the time that he said.